Hello! Happy Tuesday to everyone and happy lunchtime to people on the East Coast. I am here today to talk about chronic illness at work. And I wore my favorite work dress even though I work from home. Got dressed up, pretended like I was actually going to work today to be with you all to talk about chronic illness at work. And so the reason that I wanted to bring this topic up is not only because it comes up a lot in conversations with clients, but just in the community of people with chronic illness in general, what I see a lot of people doing is pushing through their pain and their chronic illness to stay at work, and usually suffering in silence. And I don't need to tell you how sucky that is. Like, if you haven't experienced it yourself, you probably know somebody who has. And it's just the worst to feel like you're wearing a mask all day and to feel like nobody understands what you're going through. And so I wanted to talk a little bit today about how you might be more open at work about what's going on for you. Because the other thing that I see a lot is that people don't tell anybody in the workplace what's going on. They're suffering in silence, and then eventually they hit a wall and they quit working. And that puts a lot of stress on your body, on your health, on your mental health. It can be a huge financial stress depending on what kind of leave you're able to take, or if you have to take Social Security disability. I mean, that could mean a huge change in your income, which is stressful as hell, especially if you're trying to pay medical bills. So I just want to encourage people to take a look at what's possible. So, for example, I'm one of these people that didn't tell anyone what was going on and then eventually quit. I was working at Harvard. I loved my job. I was an event planner, and I got into a bike accident. Got a really severe concussion, had concussive symptoms for 2.5 months, and it brought back all of these Lyme symptoms that I hadn't had in a really long time. I didn't understand that at the time, but I was really light sensitive. I was really sound sensitive. It was really hard to be in an office with fluorescent lighting. And at a certain point, I was having a lot of trouble even comprehending what my boss was asking me to do. I had really a lot of trouble with short-term memory, and I was just really struggling. But I told myself, I just have to quit. I just have to quit. Like, things are so hard. Like, that's the only option for me. I'm going to save up my money and just quit when I can. And then when I told my boss that I was leaving and told her what was going on, she was so supportive. She was like, is there anything that we can do for you to help you stay? Like, do you want to work part-time? Do you want to work from home? Do you need to work in a different office? And, I don't like to have regrets, but part of me really wishes that I had had this conversation with her about what was going on so much sooner, because it turns out that there was a lot of possibility that might have allowed me to stay there. Ultimately, I think it worked out, but it could have been a much smoother transition. And there's just so much that I didn't know, right? I think a lot of people are in a similar boat. They're really scared about telling anybody what's going on for them because that they think that it might mean a lot of judgment, that it could mean losing your job, that it could mean, just upsetting the status quo at work. We could come up with a million reasons why telling people what's going on for you at work is really scary, right? But there just might be so many more options than you're aware of. And something to think about in terms of, there's always going to be people that discriminate, right? And there's always going to be jerks that just don't understand what's going on and will say, all right, well, if you can't do this job, you're out. But the vast majority of people are understanding. And there are some things to know, like, as somebody with a chronic illness, you actually qualify as having a disability under the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, which protects you from being fired from your job for having a disability. So definitely read that over and educate yourself on what your rights are around that before you have this conversation. The other thing to know about is the Family Medical Leave Act, the FMLA. It requires that certain employers give you a certain amount of leave. from your job, paid leave, so or unpaid leave. But it can be a really, really nice option if you're going through something that's really difficult and working just isn't, staying at work just really is not possible for you. So ADA, FMLA, definitely look those up. The other thing I want to talk about is, what if you have been out of the workforce for a while, or you left a job already that wasn't working for you and you're trying to find one that does work? Like, at what point in the process do you start explaining what's going on for you, or do you tell the truth about your chronic illness? Because you can kind of decide. You can be really upfront right from the beginning. You can see if they offer you a job and then ask, for certain accommodations. Or you don't even necessarily have to tell your boss, but you can tell HR so they're aware that you have a disability or that you're dealing with a chronic illness. So I really want to encourage you to be open with people, but at the level and at the time in the process that makes sense to you. I had an experience where I didn't tell people what was going on. I was offered a management job and I was so excited about it. It was like my dream job. And then after they offered me the job, I freaked out and I was like, I can't do this. At the time I was on antibiotics. I still had to spend time in bed, like at least once a week, and there was just no way that I could work 40, 50 hours a week as a manager, talking to people all day. It's a whole lot of spoons. And I told them that. I said, I'm so I told them that, and I was really upfront with them about it, and they were like, well, what do we need to make this work? Like, do you want to work for us on like a contract basis? Do you want to work for us part-time? Like, do you want to just be a consultant for a while? I mean, they really gave me a lot of options. And what we ultimately came to an agreement that I would just work 4 days a week. And I could choose which days I wanted to work. So, if I wasn't feeling well on a Tuesday, I could stay home on a Tuesday and work Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And it worked really well. And I actually was really upfront with all my staff too. I had a team of 30, 35 people the whole time that I worked there. And I told all of them, I said, I work part-time. It's because I have chronic Lyme disease. Sometimes I just can't be here. And they were so supportive. I mean, they asked me, and not everyone wants this, right? So I'm not saying that you should do this, but my staff would ask me, like, how are you doing? Like, how is that doctor's appointment? How can we support you? Like, and, when they had socials and stuff and I couldn't come, they were really understanding. They were like, man, we really wish you were there, but we get it. And I still have really good relationships with a bunch of the people that I worked with at this organization. And another fun fact about my experience is I eventually had to leave that job too, because I really did just get too sick. And they hired me back. When I was ready to come back, they gave me a different part-time position in a different department. They were like, yeah, just tell us what you need. We'll figure it out for you. And I know that this is not everyone's experience, but I just want to share it to let people know that these kinds of things can happen. Like, you can tell the truth about where you're at with your chronic illness and get the support you need to keep working. And a resource that I really want to recommend to people, a colleague of mine, a coach named Rosalind Jaffe, wrote this great book called Keep Working Girlfriend. And she's also a coach that works with chronic illness, and she has supported countless women in particular in staying in their jobs while they're healing or while they're learning how to manage their chronic illness. So it really can be done, and that's a resource, her book, that I definitely recommend checking out. And so if this is something that you have questions about, that you want to talk more about, please, comment on the video, send me an email. You can leave me a note on this Facebook page, and I'd really, really love to talk to you about it. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about. And I just wanted to put in a little plug for my next video, which is next Tuesday, the 18th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm doing another episode of HealCast, which is a series that I do where I interview holistic practitioners that do all kinds of different things questions, and then there's also a Q&A session. So anyone who's tuned in to Facebook Live to see Healcast can interact with the practitioner and ask them questions. And next Tuesday at 7:30, I'm interviewing Rachel Marshall, who does OnDemed, which is an electromagnetic healing device, electromagnetic frequency healing device that comes from Germany. And it's used to heal all kinds of things. I mean, I'm seeing her for Lyme disease specifically, but it's good for parasites, for heart trouble, for food allergies, can even heal celiac, some people say, autoimmune disease. It's a really incredible tool. It's kind of like hooking yourself up to R2D2. It's definitely a different experience. Like, it's not your typical doctor's appointment, but it's really fantastic. And so it'll be an opportunity for you to come and ask all your questions about this machine and see if it's a good fit for you and if it's something that can really help you in your healing. So I'll put some more information about that below, but thank you so much for checking out this video, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Okay, take care. Bye.